Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Israelite Wake Up. This is our Women's Advanced Bible Study night, Thursday night, 24th of October, 2024. Okay, you can go to our YouTube channel to Israel Wake Up. Check out our videos. We have over uh, 70 or 80 videos so far that we uploaded to this channel. You can check out and examine and also go to our parent channel, which is Israel Wake Up. We have over 1,000 or so videos there. Um, title inside the class is Jubilees chapter 6 destroys the New Testament. So we're going to dive into that and let the scriptures speak for themselves, right? For those that don't know, this is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with Tanakh and the Torah, Tanakh being the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament, which was given to Moses by the Lord of Hosts. Shalom and welcome to this channel, and welcome to our Women's Advanced Bible Study. Okay, a little more information for those that don't know. We have our Women's Advanced Bible Study, which is from Prophets of Awakening, on its own separate channel, which is Israel Wake Up, and we have our Bible study on Thursday nights from 7 to 9 p.m. Central Time, and we also have one on Sundays from 5 to 6, a little over an hour every Sunday evening uh, at 5, like I said, 5 to 6 um, Central Time, p.m. So if you want to check out those times that we're live, you're more than welcome to come and engage. Okay. Um, Shalom and welcome to the channel. Okay, and welcome to our Women's Advanced Bible Study. We're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, prayer, Psalms. We have some women's help moment. Then we'll do some current events and some need to know information. And then we'll go into our Q&A, the questions and comments and dialogue. Then we'll go into our topic inside the class, which is, as I mentioned earlier, Jubilees chapter 6 and how it destroys the concepts and the ideology of the New Testament. Okay, so with that being said, this moment of silence is for the Lord of hosts and all that He's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Oh Lord, we come this day praising Thee and worshiping Thee for Thy might and Thy power and Thy great understanding. Oh Lord, the end times are here uh, that You have foretold unto our forefathers upon us. Oh Lord, give us strength and wisdom to endure all that Thou hast foretold. Give us, O Lord, knowledge to rightly divide thy words, that they are delivered in righteousness and in truth. Okay, O Lord, we need you so very much in these latter days, and we will tarry and depend upon you, O Lord, because there is none else besides you, O Lord. You are our deliverer and our redeemer. Peace be unto you. Okay, so with that being said, I'm gonna read a song real quick. Okay, okay, I'm gonna read songs. 112. Blessed is the man that feareth the Lord. It said, praise ye the Lord. Blessed is the man that feareth the Lord, that delighteth greatly in his commandments. His seed shall be mightily upon the earth. The generations of the upright shall be blessed. Wealth and riches shall be in his house, and his righteousness endureth forever. Unto the upright there arises light in the darkness. He is gracious and full of compassion and righteousness. A good man showeth favor and lendeth. He will guide his affairs with discretion. Surely he shall not be moved forever. The righteous shall be in the everlasting remembrance. He shall not be afraid of evil tidings. His heart is fixed. trusting in the Lord. His heart is established. He shall not be afraid until he see his desires upon his enemies. He have dispersed. He have given to the poor. His righteousness endureth forever. His horn shall be exalted with honor. Okay, the wicked shall see it and be grieved. He shall gnash with his teeth and melt away, and the desire of the wicked shall perish. So that was Psalm 112. Blessed is the man that fears the Lord, right? So we see the benefits of that, trusting in the Lord and being single minded and staying steadfast with Him. That there's nothing to worry about. Everything, bring everything to pass. Blessings upon blessings was on that person that wholeheartedly trust in the Lord. Okay, any comments on that? Okay, we go into our women's health moment.
Yes, shalom, everyone. Please note that the information that is shared is intended for general, informational, and educational purposes only. Tonight's discussion is on food recalls, what you should know and do. I thought this would be a great discussion with all the recent food recalls. In the last 3 months, there have been over 60 recalls. Here's a list of some recall items in October, which was green onions, over 11 million pounds of meat, frozen waffles, mushrooms, and dark chocolate mini waffle cones, to name a few. Food can be recalled from the national supply chain when the U.S. government has identified possible contamination with disease causing microorganisms, the presence of a foreign object, or a lack of proper labeling of a major allergen. Usually, food recalls are voluntarily initiated by the food company, but the FDA and USDA may also begin the process. The FDA oversees this regulation for most food products except for meat, poultry, and processed egg products, which the USDA regulates. When you first hear about a food recall, you must check your pantry, fridge, freezer, and other food storage areas for any amount of the recall product. Recall notices are very specific and generally include the product name, brand, container codes, and container size. If you have, if you have a recall product, do not use it or give it to others, including pets. Instead, manufacturers will allow you to return it to the store for a refund. For any surface that had been in contact with the recall product, make sure to wash and sanitize the area and to wash your hands immediately after handling it. Recalls happen often, but their severity varies. The FDA and USDA use the following recall classifications for recalls to better describe the level of health hazards. We have Class 1 recalls means that there's a greater chance the product will cause serious adverse health consequences, even death. Then you have class two recalls. They occur when the product may cause temporary or medically reversible adverse health consequences or when there's less of a chance of a serious adverse health consequences. Class 3 recalls happen when the product in violation is unlikely to cause adverse health consequences, but risk is still present. Market withdrawals happen when the product is removed or corrected due to minor violations, such as not meeting some quality standards. The good news is that there are many notification outlets these days that help the public become aware and quickly of any possible recall. Consumers can subscribe to the FDA subscription service and the FDA enforcement report, which shows all FDA regulated product recalls. The USDA regulated product recalls can be found on the USDA's Recalls and Public Health Alerts homepage. To help protect yourself, stay up to date on the latest news and information about food recalls from both USDA and FDA and the FDA. Finally, check your fridge and pantry for products that may have been part of the food recall. Who knows? This small check of your fridge and pantry may help reduce your risk of getting sick. I'm going to read Deuteronomy chapter 28, verses 15 through 19. Curses for disobeying.
Welcome to the new world of NVIDIA AI computing by HPE.
Go ahead.
I'm going to read Deuteronomy chapter 28, verses 15 through 19. Curses for disobeying the Lord. Verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. 16. Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field. Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store. Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body and the fruit of thy land, the increase of thine kind, and the flocks of thy sheep. 19. Cursed shall thou be when thou comest in, and cursed shall thou be when thou goest out. Tonight's discussion was on food recalls. What should you know and do? And I read Deuteronomy chapter 28, verses 15 through 19. Curses for disobeying the Lord. Shalom, everyone.
Okay, appreciate that information. We'll go to our current events.
President of the Republic of South Africa, Mr. Ramaphosa.
Your Excellency,
Okay, this is a closing remark for the BRICS Summit. This is the last day.
President Vladimir Putin, Your Excellencies, leaders of BRICS nations, Your Excellencies, leaders of global and regional institutions, Your Excellency Antonio Guterres, the Secretary General of the United Nations, honorable ministers and excellencies. Allow me to begin by congratulating President Putin on chairing a very successful BRICS summit, as well as leading us all to adopt an excellent declaration from this summit. The BRICS outreach and BRICS Plus engagements are important platforms for developing strong ties amongst countries from greater global south and emerging markets. We should use these platforms to foster meaningful engagement. We should use the BRICS platform to contribute to social, economic, cultural development of our peoples. We welcome the Russian initiatives that are aimed at strengthening a number of BRICS countries through the various measures that they have put on the table, such as transport networks and connectivity. This in many ways will help to find ways to integrate and deepen our interconnectedness in new and imaginative ways. The African Continental Free Trade Area will make a huge contribution itself to unlock opportunities for trade and investment for local and global businesses. It will create a number of opportunities that will lead to an integrated and nice borders based on the 1967 borders, with East Jerusalem as its capital. And this would be in line with all UN resolutions, international law, and internationally agreed parameters. We do call on the international community and the United Nations Security Council to address this spiraling conflict. On our own continent, Africa, Sudan enters its second year of horrific conflict and devastation. This is another conflict that the world seems to have forgotten about. The protracted conflicts in the Sahel and Great Lakes regions in Africa persist. We must find lasting solutions to all these conflicts. We must remain committed to the peaceful resolution of all disputes through negotiation and inclusive dialogue. And we must safeguard the ability of states to pursue independent foreign policy. And we must safeguard the multilateral system because it is the cornerstone of international relations that fosters an environment of peace and development. Existing global institutional mechanisms need to be both strengthened and reformed to play a constructive role in the international peace and security. We cannot allow conflicts just to continue in perpetuity. We do need to find paths to peace. In our quest for a long, interconnected, just and prosperous world, we have the ability to foster an environment of peace through a focus on sustainable development.
Okay, any comments on that? Yeah, it seems like to me that BRICS is taking over the role that at one time the UN had. In the United States, it seems as if though, like I said, they take the role on for themselves. Okay.
Hey friends, Eric here, and in this video I want to talk to you about how you can retire with just...
Okay. Give me a minute. Okay.
Continues to downplay the 2024 BRICS summit happening right now under Russia's chairmanship. But do not be fooled by this narrative, because if you have seen any of the video footage coming out of Russia, it is clear that this is a leader who is not isolated in a country that is making big moves against the West. Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. Today marks the third and final day of the BRICS Bloc 2024 summit. What started as a handful of 5 countries creating an economic alliance has now doubled in size for membership, with countless countries requesting membership. Today, we have over 30 countries involved in this summit, with leaders from all over the world, laser focused on trying to figure out how they can create a new world order through a new financial system. Yes, this is squarely focused on how these countries can come together and end the dollar's supremacy. This is because for decades, the United States has been weaponizing the dollar against these countries, using it as a way to push U.S. policy. And whether or not you agree with the United States political stance on various issues or how they've used the dollar, one thing has become clear. If these countries do not band together and create a new path forward, then they are going to be left behind. The fascinating part about all of this is that the countries in the BRICS alliance represent half of the world's population and a growing percentage of GDP. They have the majority of landmass and therefore the majority of natural resources. Now, the media will continue to tell us that they will never band together, that it won't work, that there's too many issues and political divides between the countries. But this week's summit is proving otherwise. We've already seen different countries reconciling, including China and India, who had a falling out in 2020, and this week decided to put aside their differences and come to a border agreement deal, something that's being celebrated in India and China and is seen as a huge step forward in the BRICS Bloc alliance. But that's not all. We're also seeing India, I see here from Barron's, Xi Jinping holds talks with Iran's Pezeshkian at BRICS summit. So right here we have the leaders of China and Iran coming together and holding private discussions. Now, this comes on the heels of Putin and the UAE president also having private discussions. As a quick reminder, a large reason why the US dollar has remained the global reserve currency is because of the petrodollar agreement, which says that all oil will be priced in dollars. Now, should this crack, should oil start to be priced in other currencies, or there's a move away from the dollar, this would be huge. Because the less demand there is for dollars, the less value there is for dollars, which means that our standard of living, our quality of living in the United States would deteriorate rapidly. Now, there's a reason that, again, our government and the media keeps telling us that this won't happen. They don't want anyone to be scared, and they don't want anyone to go outside of the system. But there is a reason that this week gold prices continue to hit record highs. Gold is telling us something. Yes, there is the war in the Middle East, so we know that there is an increasing geopolitical conflict happening. We also are seeing this BRICS summit happening, and people are concerned about the current financial system. If we stay in the financial system as it is today, our days are numbered. It is clear, based on the amount of debt that we continue to create, that the dollar's value has eroded, right? In the last couple of years, we've lost 25% of our purchasing power. Well, you might have asked yourself at some point, how is it possible that we have so much debt and it's only been in the last couple of years that we lost this purchasing power? Yes, we printed more in a shorter period of time, but there is another reason. When you look at the US dollar, part of the reason why we've been able to create so much of it, so much currency, and not have inflation just be sky high for years and years and years, is because of the fact that everyone globally uses the dollar. It is our number one export. So because the demand for dollars is so high, it masks the amount of currency we're creating. It essentially means we are able to export our inflation onto the rest of the world, which is another reason why these countries are getting together and saying, this isn't fair. We want a seat at the table. We want to create our own rules, and we don't want to be beholden to the United States in something that benefits the US, but not the rest of the world, which is, again, why a lot of people are actually rooting for BRICS. Now, here in the United States, you might look at this and think that makes sense, but the concern for the average American is if you have dollar or dollar-denominated assets, you are at risk. You're at risk of losing your savings. You're at risk of losing your purchasing power, your retirement, all of those things. Because once this happens, as BRICS becomes more successful, and we know this week they launched BRICS Pay, a new financial system that completely sidesteps Western technology and allows these countries to facilitate trade in their local currencies. We know that this means there's going to be less utilization of the dollar. And as the dollar continues to lose its value, what eventually happens in countries where there's hyperinflation? Well, that's when we see a currency reset. Often, a lot of people talk about resets back to the value of gold being true money, whereas all this fiat currency is just made up. It's just a piece of paper. Now, who is buying gold in record quantities? BRICS. The BRICS bloc countries. China has been one of the largest buyers of gold. Their central bank has been buying gold in record quantities. Now, maybe they're preparing for a future where there is a BRICS currency that's gold backed. I know a lot of people have speculated that. There hasn't been much chat of that coming out of this week, although the summit's not over yet, so there could be new developments. But more likely they are preparing, moving away from the dollar and preparing to have true money reserves, because this is what's going to set them up in a position of power. As the dollar fails, they will be ready. And
okay. Any comments, questions? Okay, got some need to know information right here. Then we're going to our Q&A.
Excuse me. Shalom.
Okay.
I just had a question. What made them want to how we first started out, the need for them, for the U.S. to help out, or the need for that for the trading and things of that sort. So now that they're wanting the dollar to go down, so they feel they have no need for the trading again, and um, what they have over here, what they want in the U.S. is not needed anymore, or how their allies, the other allies that is with United States, is not something that they going with or want to continue, um, want to continue to have as resources. I mean, because once they break down the dollar and it's not needed no more in their transactions with the U.S., which China's doing a lot of work, transactions with the U.S. So how is that going to work out? Again, I know they're saying that China and India is getting together, um, and Russia and China seeing some way in, and everyone who's getting into BRICS are kind of like joining together when once they were apart from each other. What's making that happen so much as far as the currency, where again someone wants to be in power once they get together? There's always a leader when amongst people. Like United States was the leader of all, I guess. And now that they are trying to take the United States out of the picture, who's going to be the leader within that BRICS deal? It's going to be the number one running things. Russia, China, you know, that's something I think it's not going to last. That BRICS is not going to last because it's got a lot of controversy in it, but they're not speaking of it. Just like she says, no one is speaking of how the money, the dollar here is, and it's just, it's going away, but they're not going to show us that. They're not showing us about BRICS, how it's starting to be strong, but after a while, their leader, one country, going to want to lead. It's not going to be an all even path.
Right,
Or is the
right,
prophecy, is there a prophecy showing that this is going to happen? They're going to build up and then break down.
right. So the what driving this is they weaponize the dollar, and they start oppressing other countries with the dollar and putting sanctions on people. That's what formed BRICS. Because of that, they started putting sanctions on people and manipulating their currency. So BRICS was born, and they've shown up to this point they don't need the dollar, and they only being civilized. Their objective has already been laid out. The whole world see their objective, but they still have to exist. They still got to trade and do all that with America and all that, but they position is already out there. They don't want to deal with the dollar no more because America is using it to cripple the rest of the world. So that's what brought the whole thing about. So and then when you start talking about BRICS, if you go to Second Ezra, I got videos on it where Second Ezra is Gabriel explains to Second Ezra the fourth beast, but he goes in more detail than he did with Daniel in the book of Daniel, and he explains how that in the very end, which is where we at, two little wings was reserved for the end, and it wasn't going to last. It was going to be turmoil and chaos, but and it wasn't going to last long. That's Russia and China that we see coming on the scene. Okay, so if you wanted to check that out, that prophecy, you can go to Second Ezra. Let me see there. Let me look and see right where it's at. Okay, you go to Second Ezra. Okay. Second Ezra chapter 12, and it's starting at okay. Let's see. Second Ezra it starts in chapter 10, then it goes all the way to chapter 12, four beasts, and in chapter 12, verses 11, it says he's giving an interpretation of the vision, and it says, "This is the meaning of the vision that you have seen." Gabriel talking to Ezra. "For the eagle that you saw rising up out of the sea, it is the fourth kingdom that shall arise, or that appear in the vision to your brother Daniel, but it was not explained to him as I now explained to you, or have explained it." So we go into more detail when we're dealing with, and the two wings is in verses 12, starting at verse 29, says, "As for you seeing two additional wings crossing over to the head on the right side, this is the meaning. It is these that the Most High have kept for the eagle's end, for their reign was short, full of disturbances, as you saw. And as for the lion," yeah, so there it is. When you understand that, it sticks out like a sore thumb, which is Gog and Magog. This is Ezekiel 38. Okay.
Yes,
Anybody
sir.
else have
Thank you.
on there? Okay. Yeah. So with that being said, well, I guess I need to know information. Play that, and then go from there.
They imagine the breathtaking ruins of ancient temples, philosophers like Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, or the triumphant conquests of Alexander the Great. But what if I told you that Greece holds a place in the Bible's prophetic timeline? One that
So like I said last night, I mentioned that when the Old Testament ends in Malachi, we're in the second beast. When the New Testament starts, it's in the fourth beast. Third beast is not there. Greece is the third beast. Okay.
that extends far beyond philosophy or military might. That Greece, a land known for its pagan gods, is interwoven into biblical prophecy, a player in a spiritual war that spans from ancient times into the end times. Greece is not only remembered for its influence on Western civilization, it was foretold in the Bible as an empire that would challenge Israel, shift the course of world history, and re-emerge as a critical force in the end times. Alexander the Great, one of the most renowned military leaders in history, was actually a fulfillment of prophecy. By the end of this video, you'll see Greece not just as a historical force, but as a key figure in God's plan, with its legacy reaching deep into the future. Stay with deep Bible stories as we unravel how Greece is pivotal to understanding biblical prophecy. The first step in understanding Greece's prophetic role begins with the nation's origins in the Bible. Greece is represented by Javan, the son of Japheth, one of Noah's 3 sons. According to the Table of Nations in Genesis 10, Javan's descendants are the progenitors of the Greek people, who would go on to create one of the most influential civilizations in history. The sons of Japhet, Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshech.
So, like I said, when you listen to this, how is they brothers? When they totally opposite. When the Greeks are European, they Anglo-Saxons, whites, but Shem is black. So how they brothers? They're not brothers. Okay.
And Tiras, the sons of Javan, Elisha, Tarshish, Kittim, and Dodanim. Genesis 10, 2-4. Javan's lineage establishes the biblical foundation for Greece, known in ancient times as the Ionians. These descendants of Javan spread throughout the Aegean region, laying the groundwork for what would become the Hellenic civilization. Greece's strategic location made it a bridge between the East and West, influencing cultures, philosophies, and military practices throughout the Mediterranean. But Greece's importance in the Bible isn't just rooted in its genealogical heritage. It lies in the role it would play in God's unfolding plan for the nations. Greece was destined not only to rise as a world power, but to engage in a spiritual battle against Israel, God's chosen people, and eventually take part in end-time prophecies. As we'll see, Greece's rise to power wasn't merely a product of human ambition. It was part of a divine plan foretold long before Alexander the Great set out to conquer the world. Perhaps the most dramatic prophecy involving Greece is found in the book of Daniel, a vision that not only predicted Greece's rise, but also the extraordinary conquests of Alexander the Great. In Daniel 8, we encounter the vision of a ram and a goat, which symbolizes the Medo-Persian Empire and Greece, respectively. The goat came from the west, across the surface of the whole earth, without touching the ground, and the goat had a notable horn between his eyes. Daniel 8:5. This goat represents Greece, and the notable horn refers specifically to Alexander the Great. The vision describes how the goat came from the west and moved so swiftly that it seemed not to touch the ground. This symbolizes Alexander's rapid military conquests, which span from Greece to Egypt and across Persia to India. By the time he was 32 years old, Alexander had built one of the largest empires in history. But the prophecy continues, predicting Alexander's sudden death at the height of his power. Daniel 8:8 tells us, the large horn was broken, and in place of it 4 notable ones came up toward the 4 winds of heaven. This foretells how Alexander's empire would be divided among his 4 generals, Cassander, Ptolemy, Seleucus, and Antigonus, after his untimely death. The division of Greece's empire into 4 distinct kingdoms was a direct fulfillment of Daniel's prophecy. Yet Alexander's rise and fall were not merely political events. The spread of Greek culture, known as Hellenism, would have profound implications for Israel and the surrounding nations. It marked the beginning of a spiritual battle that would manifest in both political warfare and religious tension. After the division of Alexander's empire, the region of Judea fell under the control of the Seleucid Empire, one of the 4 Greek-ruled territories. This period saw the aggressive Hellenization of Israel, where Greek rulers sought to impose Greek culture and pagan worship on the Jewish people. The greatest symbol of this conflict was the desecration of the Second Temple in Jerusalem by Antiochus IV Epiphanes, a Greek ruler from the Seleucid dynasty. Antiochus didn't just want political control, he wanted to erase Jewish worship and replace it with Greek paganism. He placed an idol of the Greek god Zeus in the Holy of Holies, and even sacrificed a pig on the altar. This event, known as the Abomination of Desolation, was prophesied in Daniel 11:31. And forces shall be mustered by him, and they shall defile the sanctuary fortress, Then they shall take away the daily sacrifices and place there the abomination of desolation. This abomination was not just a political event. It was a direct assault on the worship of Yahweh, the God of Israel. The Greek Empire sought to replace God's law with Greek philosophy and pagan religion. The Maccabean Revolt, a Jewish rebellion against this Hellenization, was sparked by this event. The Jews successfully drove out the Greeks and rededicated the temple, an event celebrated today as Hanukkah. But the spiritual conflict between Hellenism and Judaism didn't end with the Maccabees. It was a foreshadowing of future prophetic battles. The abomination of desolation, prophesied in Daniel, would later serve as a template for the Antichrist's actions during the end times, as described in Revelation. Though Greece's empire may have fallen long ago, its prophetic significance has not diminished. Both Daniel and Revelation describe a future global power that will mirror the great empires of the past, including Greece. In Daniel 7, we find a vision of 4 beasts representing 4 successive world empires. The third beast, described as a leopard with 4 wings, represents Greece, symbolizing the speed of Alexander's conquests and the eventual division of his empire into 4 parts. After that, I looked, and there before me was another beast, one that looked like a leopard, and on its back it had 4 wings, like those of a bird. Daniel 7:6. But the prophecy doesn't end there. Daniel's vision also points to a 4th beast, which represents the final world empire that will arise in the end times. This final empire will be a global system that embodies aspects of all the previous empires, including Babylon, Persia, Greece, and Rome. This concept is echoed in the book of Revelation, where the beast that rises in the end time.
When you see what he done? And this is where everybody's being bamboozled in. The beast, let's go there right quick. I need to break this down. So he's saying that Daniel said 4 beasts, right? Okay, what he just said was in the end time, he going to Revelation, which is ain't prophecy. So he goes and he says, we'll go to Daniel right first and break this down. So you go to Daniel, right? And then Daniel says in chapter 2, he described the 4 beasts that's going to come on the earth twice. He described them with metals, which is in chapter 2. And then he described them again with animals. So I'm going to go to chapter 2. I want to show you something. Well, let me go to let me get it. Okay, chapter 2 says, then given an interpretation of Nebuchadnezzar's dream, right? He says, chapter 2, verse 33. We'll start at 31 in Daniel 2. Thou, O king, saw it. Is Daniel breaking down the vision. Thou, O king, saw it, and behold, a great image. This great image, whose brightness was excellent, stood before thee, and the form thereof was terrible. The image hid, here you go, the image hid of fine gold, and his breast and his arms silver, his belly and his thighs brass, his legs of iron, and his feet part iron and part clay. Right? So it's 4 beasts. So the first one is the gold, then that's Babylon. Then the next one was silver, which was the Medes and Persians. And then the thighs was brass, that's Alexander the Great. That's the Greeks. And then the legs was iron, and then the toes part iron and part clay. That's 4 beasts, right? So this guy just said that in the final days, it's a beast gonna come after that, after the 4 beasts, and it's going to be made up of all 4 beasts. But that's not the case. The case is this right here. Let me show you. When you go to chapter 5, and this is the 4 beasts maybe in the wrong place. Go to where this animals at. Okay, I think it's in chapter 7. I'm starting at verse 1. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and a vision with his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the son of the matter. And Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the 4 winds of heaven strove upon the great sea, and the 4 great beasts came up from the sea, diverged from one another. Now here you go. Verse 4. The first was like a lion, right? And it had eagle's wings. And behold, and I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and he was lifted up from his earth, and he made to stand upon his feet as a man, and a man's heart was given unto it. And then verse 5, and behold, another beast, a second, like a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in its mouth, between the teeth of it, and they said thus unto it, arise and devour much flesh. 6. After this I beheld another one, like a leopard. It's the Greeks, which had upon his back 4 wings of fire, and the beast had also four heads, and dominion was given to it. And then after this, I saw in the night vision, and behold, a 4th beast, right? Now, check this out. Behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth, and it devoured and brake in pieces, and it stomped the residue with the feet of it, and it was diverse from all the other beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. See that? So there's only 4 beasts. Ain't no beast coming after the Roman beast. But I want to show you something. When Daniel, he gets the interpretation, it says, same chapter 7, but I'm in verse 18, verse 19. Then I would know the truth of the 4th beast, which was diverse from all the other beasts, exceedingly dreadful, whose teeth were of iron and nails of brass, which devour and break in pieces, and stomp the residue with his feet. So this Rome, 4th beast, which is Rome, it has the characteristics of the Chaldeans in it. It has the characteristics of the Medes and Persians, and it has the characteristics of the Greeks in it. Not the 5th beast that has characteristics of all the 4 beasts, but it's the 4th beast that has characteristics from the previous 3 beasts. So they trying to give you another beast because they trying to make Revelations work. And if you've been on this channel long enough, you know the Antichrist already came. It was Antiochus Epiphanes. He the one, he did everything they say the Antichrist is going to do. Okay? So, we'll play a little more of this, then we'll open it up for some questions.
Is described as a composite of these earlier empires. The beast I saw resembled a leopard, but had feet like those of a bear and a mouth like that of a lion.
So,
Revelation 13.
So that 4th beast, which is Rome, he got, when you understand the animals, he got leopard, he got feet like a lion, he got stripes like a leopard, and then he got teeth like a lion. He got all the characteristics of the first 3 beasts. But this guy just said it's a 5th beast, and he got all the characteristics of the 4 beasts. But that's not the case. The only reason they're doing that is to make Revelation work.
2. The leopard, representing Greece, indicates that Greek influence, its philosophy, culture, and military prowess will emerge in the end times as part of the Antichrist's global empire. The spiritual battles that began in Hellenistic times will once again come to the forefront in the last days as Greek ideals of paganism and philosophy challenge the truth of God's word. At Deep Bible Stories, we explore how these ancient prophecies illuminate the...
Okay. Any comments on that? I played this for a reason because it's going to take us into our lesson. Anybody have any comments on it?
Shalom.
Okay.
Just to recap, when he was talking about the empire, like we said, Babylon is the gold empire, and Persian was the silver empire, and then he mentioned that Greece was the bronze empire, and then Rome was the iron empire. Those the bronze and the iron empire, did they ever have a war with them against each other, or it was
Yeah,
just
right. The Romans and the fourth beast is Romans, which are they all the last two beasts are out of Japhet's lineage. They're Gentiles. That's why the scripture says the time of the Gentiles. The last two beasts, Javan is in Genesis chapter 10, part of the Gentiles, the Greeks. And Rome is Chechen.
so this.
And that's all those are go under the lineage of Japhet, Greeks. Gentiles.
Yes, sir. So the war that's going on today versus like we were saying about Rome and Greece, or now they're talking about, and then we have the two that's Russia and Ukraine, and then we have Israel and Gaza. So if those wars, is that something coming from the Tower of Babylon? I mean, is these empires are roll into it, or it's just the Iron Empire that's causing this war right now?
Well, Rome is Esau. Rome is Edom. When you go and you do your research, I got it in videos on Prophets of Awakening. The Chechen, they went and had wars with the Edomites, and they subdued them. And then from that point on, once they subdued them, from that point to the day, Rome and Edom is synonymous because they intermingle together. Matter of fact, Javan, the Romans, and the Edomites all came together as one people. They became a mingled people. That's what the fourth beast is. Rome. Like for example, Constantine was a Greek. Constantine was a Greek. A Greek. His nationality was Greek, but he was in the fourth beast, the Roman. He was an emperor in the Roman Empire, but he Greek. It's because they all intermingle. They all one. Okay, so you got to understand that. Yeah,
yes,
you have to
sir.
understand. So it says that Daniel says that the fourth beast is diverged from the other ones. So what do you mean? It's called Esau. That's why Esau was raised by Abraham. He has the understanding and knowledge of prophecy and all that, whereas these other countries don't. They pagan. So, like right now, what we're looking at, Esau orchestrated all these wars. He's the one orchestrating all these because he's running the world. He got all the money, and to keep his empire, to keep him on top, he has to keep all these conflicts going on and all the World War I, World War II, and then as soon as he started waning, because whatever goes up got to come back down. But he got a blueprint. He comes and he stirs up chaos all over the place to keep him on top. When he see people's nations or countries start rising, he come in and cause wars to set everything back, which keep him on top. And that's what we're looking at. But like I said, but now what's happening is the time appointed that the Lord of hosts had prophesied was going to happen. That's what we had now. It's time and played out. That's what we're looking at with bricks and all that. His time is up. But he's steady trying to continue to do what he's been doing. A big example of that was the guy mentioned, I don't know if anybody picked up on it, but this couple of weeks ago, I was playing a video, and the guy said, it's impossible for a nation, especially like Africa, with all these resources, to be in a state that it's in for 200 years. They have too many resources to stay on the bottom. But the system that Esau got in place is designed to keep them just where they at. Like the man just said, when the Greeks came, they altered the world. They altered the way things go on in the world. So they specifically got everything generated to keep the Africans poor. But they sucking their resources. And we see that's fading now, because we see what's happening with BRICS. We see what's happening with over in Negro land with Niger and Burkina Faso and Mali. All these countries are their yoke that Esau had on them is the Most High removing it. That's what the turmoil is all about. When you start looking at these European countries, they're at ease because they're uneased because they see what's happening. The time and the grip they had is waning. Okay.
Shalom. Yes, sir.
Right. Anybody else have anything on that? Okay. I'm gonna open it up for some Q&A. Questions, comments, and dialogue. Anybody have anything that they want to bring up, talk about? Okay.
No,
Okay. Like I said before, I'm gonna play this right here. Some of it. If you want to watch it on your own, it's you can. But what I'm playing, what I'm getting ready to play is this too is going to tie into what I'm going to be talking about. Okay, this is the video is what secrets are hidden in the banned books about Adam's law. So long before the laws that Moses received on Mount Sinai, Adam had laws. And this is a lot of what we've been brainwashed at. I'm going to play a little bit of it.
View that some of the divine laws we commonly associate with Moses and the Ten Commandments were already being followed long before they were officially written on tablets of stone. According to the banned books from the Ethiopian Orthodox Bible, like the Book of Jubilees and the Book of Enoch, these sacred laws.
This is the reason why these books are banned right here, a lot of it, because you go to the New Testament, the law was done away with supposedly by the Lord because man could never keep it, and so that's what brought, in order for them to attack the law, that's what brought in JC, the need for JC to come and die on the cross. But like I said, when we finish this class, you're going to see what time it is. So all these banned books was to denigrate the understanding of when the law actually came into existence, right? Okay, here we go.
Were first given to Adam at the dawn of creation, passed down through the patriarchs, Noah, Abraham, and finally Moses. These
Melchizedek's. See, they didn't look with that word Melchizedek right here. Melchizedek got the law, King of Righteousness. And like I said, it's a title that was passed down from Adam. Adam was the first one. It was passed down to those seeds, the seed that was called. Like he said, Adam has Cain killed Abel. Then Adam had a son and called his name Seth. Then Seth had a son, called his name Canaan. So that called seed is Melchizedek.
laws have shaped humanity's relationship with God throughout history, yet much of this story was almost forgotten. In the Bible, you might recall God's command to Adam and Eve in Genesis, "Do not eat from the tree of knowledge," Genesis 2:16-17. And later, we read of Cain and Abel offering sacrifices, Genesis 4:3-4. But what if there's more to these stories? The book of Jubilees reveals that Adam was entrusted with divine laws about the Sabbath, sacrifice, and purity far earlier than we usually think. These commandments were passed down through generations, showing that Moses wasn't receiving new laws, but formalizing an ancient tradition.
Right, so let's look at that. So this is what I mean by this, how they did this, subliminally brainwashed us. But when the light is shining on it, you can't believe that you got brainwashed. But anyway, they sacrificed in the temple. It's like sacrificing in the temple. Well, we know Noah sacrificed. Then in Genesis, when Abel became of age, they sacrificed. Well, if they sacrificing and they got laws and all that in the temple, then they gotta have the same laws. They sacrificing. Well, with the New Testament, your mind don't register on all that. You brainwashed. So like I said, so if they sacrificing way back here before the flood, the same laws is in accordance in the temple. Whatever the laws surrounding the sacrifice in the temple, they doing the same thing right here. For example, he said the Antichrist is going to stop the oblations, stop them continuous oblation. What are the oblations? In the morning, they sacrifice to their God, to the Lord of hosts, in the noontime and in the evening. No one of them was doing that. Adam was doing it. It's a reference to the Lord, but it even go way deeper than that. That's the reason I'm having this class. So when the Antichrist came, Antioch Epiphanes, that's what he stopped. He stopped. That's what That's what Daniel was talking about when Daniel said the abomination that make it desolate. The abomination that make it desolate was he stopped the oblations that they had been doing all the way back from Adam to once 3 times a day, like Daniel said when Gabriel came to him. When we finish this, you're gonna see why the world is where it's at, because of these sacrifices and the laws surrounding them is what hold the universe together. We're gonna see that in a minute when I read it. And so this is why these books not in there. Okay, and more is coming to the light. Okay, play a little more of this, then I'm gonna start reading.
In today's video, we'll dive into the hidden knowledge found in the banned books, comparing it to the Bible's own accounts. For example, while Genesis briefly tells us that Noah built an altar and offered sacrifices after the flood, Genesis 8:20, the book of Jubilees expands on this, explaining how Noah was following the same laws of sacrifice, purity, and the Sabbath that had been passed down from Adam. Okay. These books reveal a powerful truth. The laws that were...
That's what we're going to pick it up here, right here. Like I said, you want to watch that video, is what secrets are hidden in the banned books of Adam's law, because Adam had laws. The laws actually go back to Adam. But anyway, we're going to pick it up. And this is like, this information is just like jumping off the page. But we just don't, it's not, you're not focusing on it. Once you focus on it, it kills the New Testament. It kills this Greek ideology, because that's all the New Testament is Greek ideology. So, Jubilees chapter 6. I'm going to start reading and you'll see what I'm talking about. So, like I said, the scene that's being set is that way before the angels came to Moses and gave him the laws on Mount Sinai, even greater event happened with Noah. and they downplayed it. So here you go, in Jubilees chapter 6. And on the new moon, this why the moon's so important. And we ain't dealing with that at all. Okay, so chapter 6 of Jubilees, verse 1. On the new moon of the third month, he went forth from the ark. So this is Lord of hosts telling the story. The angels, but specifically right here, the Lord of hosts telling the story to us. That's what the book of Jubilees is about. The angels telling the story, right? So it says, okay, so it says, and on the new moon of the third month, he went forth from the ark and built an altar on that mountain. See, he built an altar. They got an altar in the temple, okay? And he made atonement. See that? Look at this. Watch the wording in it. He made atonement for the earth, and he took a key and made atonement by his blood. See that? Check it out. Remember, JC had to come because his blood. But right here it says he made atonement for the earth, and he took a kid, which is a goat, a young goat, and made atonement by his blood. See that? This kid's blood is satisfactory to atone the earth after the flood. And he took a key and made atonement by his blood for all the guilt. See that? For all the guilt of the earth. For everything that had been on it had been destroyed, save those that were in the ark with Noah. And he placed the fat. See that? Same fat in Leviticus. He placed the fat thereof on the altar. He took an oxen and a goat and a sheep and a kid and salt and a turtle dove and the young of a dove, and placed a burnt sacrifice on the altar and poured therein an offering mingled with oil and sprinkled wine and strove frankincense over everything, and caused a goodly savor to arise, acceptable before the Lord. So, like I said, let that register. I painted the picture before, but I'm gonna paint it again. When he did all this with all these animals and the salt and the wine, and he put fire on it and started burning, so aroma comes from it. That aroma can't go all the way to heaven. So what that tells you, the Lord right there, he's standing right there. And when he burn this, he goes up, he can smell it. He right there. Just like when Cain and Abel went to make their offerings. And he said he accepted. How did he know he accepted it? Because he right there. He let him know he accepted it. Then he didn't accept Cain's offering. So he can't do that way off, light years away in heaven. He right there. So if he's sacrificing right here and he there, in the temple, when they sacrificing, he there. So let's keep going. So it says 4, and the Lord smelt, see that? And the Lord smelt the goodly savor. He can't smell that way in heaven. Come on. So it says, and the Lord smelt the goodly savor, and he made a covenant with him. We're going to see. We all, people on Prophet of Awakening know who the Lord is. It's Michael, right? But we're going to see in this chapter who the Lord is. It says, and the Lord smelt the goodly savor, and he made a covenant with him. So this is Noah. So the Lord smelt the goodly savor, and he made a covenant with him that there should not be any more a flood to destroy the earth. That all the days of the earth, seed time and harvest, should never cease. Cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night should not change their order, nor cease forever. Okay, so notice what it says. He made this covenant with Noah. So from when Noah got out the boat and did this right here, made these sacrifices, to the day, this is what we brainwashed there. Till the day, the covenant is with Noah. You can't see that because we still trying to deal with JC. But the covenant is with JC. Okay, we're going to let it unfold. Verse 5, to get a covenant with Noah, right? And you, see that? The Lord talking to Noah, and you increase ye and multiply upon the earth. Talking to Noah, and become many upon it, and be a blessing upon it. And the fear, look at this, and the fear of you to this day. Come on. The fear of you and the dread of you shall I inspire in everything that is on the earth and in the sea. And behold, I have given unto you all beasts, all winged things, and everything that moves on the earth. Go back to the garden. He did this without. Okay? And the fish in the waters, and all the things for food, as the green herbs. I have given you all things to eat. But flesh, here you go. This killed. This is what JC started to get his head chopped off here, right here. But flesh, check it out. But flesh, with the life thereof, with the blood, you shall not eat. For the life of all flesh is in the blood. Lest your blood of your lives be required. So if you eat, now you got to go back to your own self. Think about it. If you eat any blood, damn where you got it from, out of Walmart or wherever. If you eat any blood, your blood, the blood of your lives is required at the hands of every man, at the hand of every beast. Shall I require the blood of man? See that? This is why we catching it. Okay? Then 8. Whosoever sheddeth man's blood, right? Whoever sheds man's blood by man, shall his blood be shedded. For in the image of God made he man. Now, let's look at this. Because this is a dagger. So JC is a man. Right? He's a man. So he said, can't shed another man's blood. So how he got a son that he gonna bring to the earth and he gonna let him get the hell beat out of him like JC did and die? Let's read it again. Whosoever sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. For in the image of God made he man. So the image of man is sacred. So the creator God that made Jesus, he was behind it. It was ordained. He was gonna get killed. Beat with cat and 9 tails. Let that front make. We shouldn't have to go no further. But we're gonna go all the way through this. So it says, and then the angel talking to the Lord, I was talking to Noah, and you increase ye and multiply on the earth. And Noah and his sons swore that they would not, look at this, Noah and his sons swore that they would not eat any blood that was in any flesh. And he made a covenant before the Lord God forever, throughout all generations of the earth in this month. Now look what we're doing. Come on. See that? So we not only denigrating the Lord of hosts today, we denigrating Noah. Come on. Look at this. On verse 11. On this account, see that? On this account, he spake to thee that thou shouldest make a covenant with the children of Israel in this month upon the mountain with an oath, and that thou shouldest sprinkle blood. Okay, that's the blood of these animals. And sprinkle blood upon them because of all the words of the covenant, which the Lord made with them forever. So let's look at that. Let's look at it. Okay, we saw what Noah did. Now we're gonna see what Abraham did later. And when you read this, you ain't even got Noah in mind. But Abraham is dealing with the covenant that the Most High made with Noah. So, I'm in chapter 14, chapter 15 of Genesis. This is when when Abraham made the sacrifice. Verse 7, Genesis 16, verse 7. And he said unto him, I am the Lord that brought thee up out of the Ur of Chaldeans to give thee this land to inherit it. And he said, Lord God. So same being Noah was dealing with. Lord God, hereby shall I know that thou shalt inherit it. And he said unto me, here you go. Take me a heifer, 3 years old, and a she-goat, 3 years old, and a ram of 3 years old, turtle dove, and a young pigeon. Same animals that Noah did. So, but we don't know that. So Noah being denigrated right there. Okay. That's no talking about the Lord of hosts. So anyway, I'm back over here in Jubilees chapter 6, verse 12. I read 11 again. Verse 11. On this account, he spake to thee that thou shouldst make a covenant with the children of Israel in this month. So they doing this because of what was done with Noah. He came later and told Israel to make a covenant with the children of Israel in this month upon the mountain with an oath. That's Mount Sinai. And that thou shouldst sprinkle blood upon them because all of the words of the covenant with Noah, which the Lord made with them forever. And his testimony is written concerning you. See that? This testimony is written concerning you. See that? Noah. That you should observe it continuously, so that you should not eat on any day any blood or the beast or the birds or the cattle during all the days of the earth. And the man who eateth the blood of a beast or of cattle or the birds during all the days of the earth, he and his seed shall be rooted out of the land. Where we at? Okay. This 13. And do thou command the children of Israel, he said, and do thou command the children of Israel to eat no blood, so that their names and their seed may be before the Lord our God continuously, right? So is our seed before the Lord now? Yeah, now. Okay. 14. And for this law, there is no limit of days, for it is forever. They killed JC. Again, they shall observe it throughout their generations so that they may continue supplicating on your behalf. See that? Everything they're doing, they're supplicating on Noah's behalf with blood before the altar every day. And at the time, see, here go the oblations. Every day and at the time of morning and the evening, that they should seek forgiveness on your behalf perpetually before the Lord, that they may keep it and not be rooted out. So what they doing in the temple in Jerusalem is what the covenant he got with Noah. The oblations. That's where Antiochus stopped. Okay. 15. And he gave to Noah and his sons a sign. See that? He gave to Noah and his sons a sign that there should not again be a flood on the earth. Check it out. And he set his bow in the clouds for a sign of an eternal covenant, that there should not again be a flood on the earth to destroy it all the days of the earth. So when we see the rainbow, it's supposed to flick back to Noah. Noah part of that. We ain't doing that. See that? Then we're gonna keep going. For this reason, see that? For this reason, it is ordained and written on the heavenly tablets that they should celebrate the feast. You go to Feast of Weeks. This is what the Feast of Weeks is all about. The Feast of the Weeks in their months once a year to renew the covenant every year. Renew the covenant he got with Noah. That's what the Feast of Weeks is about. See that? So you can't know that because they got you going back to JC because he was there in the beginning, hidden. Okay, so 18, and this whole festival was celebrated in heaven. Check it out. This whole festival, the Feast of Weeks, was celebrated in heaven from the day of creation to the days of Noah. See that? He brought it to the earth with Noah. 26 Jubilees, 5 weeks of years, and Noah and his sons observed it for 7 Jubilees and 1 week of years till the day of Noah's death. And from the day of Noah's death, his sons did away with it. Here we go. On the day of Noah's death, his sons did away with it until the days of Abraham. I just showed you that. And Abraham did the same thing. The days of Abraham, and they ate blood. So this ain't nothing new where we at right now. Okay, but Abraham observed it, Isaac and Jacob and his children observed it up until the days, and in the days of the children of Israel forgot it until he celebrated it anew on this mountain, Mount Zion, talking to Moses. And do thou command the children of Israel to observe this festival in all their generations for a commandment unto them. 1 day in a year in this month they shall celebrate the festival. For it is the Feast of Weeks and the Feast of First Fruits. This feast is twofold. Check it out. This feast is twofold and of double nature, according to what is written and engraved concerning it celebrated. Now here you go. This is where the dagger come in at. Remember, this is the Lord of hosts talking. It's the Lord of hosts talking. For I have written in the book of the first law. Michael wrote it. For I have written in the book of the first law, in that which I have written for thee, that thou shouldst celebrate it in its season, 1 day in a year. But I explain to thee its sacrifices that the children of Israel should remember and should celebrate it through their generations in this month. 1 day in a year, 1 day in every year. And on the new moon of the first month, and on the new moon of the fourth month, and on the new moon of the seventh month. Now watch what all this about. And on the new moon of the first month, and on the new moon of the second or the fourth month, on the new moon of the seventh month, and on the new moon of the 10th day, on 10th month, are the days of remembrance. So what they remember? Remember, the Passover is caused to remember what happened when they was in Egypt. So what is all these moons about? The first moon, first month, the new moon, and the fourth month. What is that all about? These are written and ordained as a testimony forever. Now here you go. And Noah ordained them. Look at this. Noah ordained them for himself. All this what he just read, these new moons, these feast days right here, Noah ordained them for himself as feasts for the generations forever, so that they have become thereby a memorial unto him. See that? And on the new moon of the first month, he was bidden to make for himself an ark. Now here you go. He's going to tell you why these certain days or new moons are being celebrated. For himself an ark. And on that day, the earth became dry, and he opened the ark and saw the earth. And on the new moon of the fourth month, the mouth of the deep of the abyss beneath were closed. So that's why you're keeping that first one, because that's when the abyss closed up, when the ark dried up, when the water dried up under the ark. And on the new moon of the seventh month, all the mouths of the abyss of the earth were open, and the waters began to descend into them. And on the new moon of the 10th month, the tops of the mountains were seen, and Noah was glad. And on this account, he ordained them and for himself as feasts for a memorial forever. And thus are they ordained. See that? So that's what that's all about. Just like I said, the Passover is about what happened to our forefathers in Egypt. All this right here is about what happened to Noah during the flood. For us to remember. This is what JC's done right here. Okay? When they concocted JC, that's when he killed all this. See? It says, and on the new moon of the 10th month, talking about already that, and on this account, he ordained them for himself as feasts for a memorial forever, and thus are they ordained. And they placed them on the heavenly tablets. Each had 13 weeks, for one to another passed their memorial, from the first to the second, and from the second to the third, and from the third to the fourth. And all the days of the commandments will be 252 days, and these will make the entire year complete. So 364 days in a month. But check this out. So we going by these Gentiles 365 days, but it says right here 364 days, right? Thus is it engraven or ordained on the heavenly tablets, and there is no neglecting. Look at this. There is no neglecting this commandment for a single year, or from 1 year to the next year. And command thou the children of Israel that they observe the years according to this reckoning, 364 days. These will constitute a complete year, and they will not disturb it. They will not disturb its time from its days and from its feast. Now here you go. For everything will fall out. Now, if they don't do this, if we don't do this right here, says, let me get it. For everything will fall out in them according to their testimony, and they will not leave out any day nor disturb any feast. But if they do neglect and do not observe them according to his commandments, then they will disturb. Look at this. They will disturb. They're talking about global warming, right? Okay. Look at this. Then will they disturb all their seasons, and the years will be dislodged from their order, and they will disturb the seasons, and the years will be dislodged, and they will neglect their ordinances, and all the children of Israel will forget and will not find the path of the years, and will forget the new moon and the seasons and the Sabbath, and they will go wrong. Look at that. That's where we at. And they will go wrong as to all the order of the years. Now here you go, 35. For I know, this is Lord host talking, for I know, and from henceforth shall I declare it unto thee, and it is not of my own devising. See that? They want to put everything off on Yahweh and on the Lord of hosts. But he says, it shall not be, I shall declare it unto thee, that it is not my own devising. For the book lieth written before me, and on the heavenly tables the division of days is ordained, lest they forget the feast of the covenant and in accordance to the feast of the Gentiles. So they said they're going to go away from my feast, and they will walk according to the feast of the Gentiles. That's where we at. And their error and their ignorance. For there will be those who will surely make observations of the moon now. It is disturbance, and the seasons cometh in year to year, 10 days too soon. For this reason, the years will come upon them when they will disturb the order and make an abominable day. Here you go. What's the abominable day? Sunday. Look at this. For this reason, the years will come upon them, and they will disturb the order and make an abominable day, the day of a testimony, and an unclean day. See that? Niggas talking about unclean animals. He says an unclean day, right? A feast day. That's Sunday. Constantine. And they will confound all the days, the holy with the unclean, and the unclean day with the holy day. For they will go wrong as to months and Sabbaths and feasts and Jubilees. For this reason, I command and testify to thee that thou mayest testify to them, for after thy death, thy children will disturb them, right? So that they will not make the year 364 days. Come on, don't get no plainer than this. He told them after you die, they're gonna change the 364 days, right? And for this reason, they will go wrong as to the new moons, the seasons, the Sabbaths, the festivals, and they will eat all kind of blood with all kinds of flesh. Yeah. So they downplayed the significance of the blood of these animals when they concocted JC. The sacrifices of these animals, these clean animals, is what keeping the whole universe and the whole everything in order. As soon as we got away from that, now we see what's happening. So how in the hell is the blood, in the New Testament, the blood of animals and goats wouldn't suffice? It needed a man to come and blood. And the Lord, I was telling you right here, that a man is sacred. Any man that shed a man's blood, there's something wrong with it. Okay, any question? So that was Jubilees chapter 6.
Shalom. So when you were saying how they put JC in it and everything, they put him when they were saying that he was a sacrifice, being that a human shouldn't be sacrificed. He said, "This is my blood, drink of my blood."
Right.
And then eat of my flesh, talking about a bread when they do this, when they do the, when they eat the bread and drink the blood on, I can't remember, it's been so long,
Right.
commune, when they
All that's
commune.
vulnerable.
Yeah, that's
right
there. And by you saying not to do those things, they put it in the New Testament for one to, practice that stuff. And then when they eat the meat, they want to eat it medium rare or rare or something like that. And that's
right. To
another
this
thing.
day. They're
Yes,
doing that
sir.
to this day in the restaurants and everywhere. And look what we just read.
Yes,
And
sir.
now we doing it. We doing it.
Yes. And then when you mentioned about the order is messed up, that's how we have, you mentioned about global warming, about summer being like fall in the fall time, or in the winter, and winter being like at the summertime, when the months are mixed up. I mean, the seasons gets mixed up with the months.
Right, they out of order.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Does anybody else got anything before we close out? Okay. So with that being said, let me get this right quick. Yeah. So like I said before, that's a sheer dagger. When you once you read and get the proper understanding of it, sheer dagger. So with that being said, I want to say shalom, shalom, and another shalom. I see everybody. Well, we got our men's advanced Bible study tomorrow night. Then we have our 2 Shabbat classes on Saturday. Shalom.
Shalom, shalom, everyone.